Twins drop back-to-back versus the Yankees in New York. Carlos Rodon silences the Twins lineup with a one-hitter. Final score 9-1 in Game 2. We got a full deep dive. It's coming up next on the Minnesota Twins POSTCAST.
This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on back in the lab? Back at it. Another Minnesota Twins POSTCAST right here. Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. That's your team every day. You got Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Theo Tollefson, he's on X. Give him a follow at Theodore Tollef1. Twins expert, by the way, over at Zone Coverage MN as well. Theo, so 7 games out of the wild card. Where are you at? Have you thrown away the lottery ticket for this team? Is there any chance they could, I don't know, get hot and make things interesting at the end of all this? Or what's your thought process, I guess, for the Minnesota Twins these last 6 weeks of play?
Let's be realistic. When this was on the calendar for the season schedule and knowing where things are at and where they've been, especially after that really abysmal month of June, with still having the Yankees on schedule in August and September, this is least surprising at this point. I mean, these games are all still meaningful, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you got to set the expectations realistically, and going into Yankee Stadium and seeing exactly what's happened these last 2 games is no surprise to anyone, which is sad. But, you know, given the state of affairs of the Twins of late, we kind of saw this coming.
For sure. 9-1, that was your final. Again, 56-63 now on the year. Lots to get into. Biggest turning point, plus which guys' stock are pointing up right now, plus our Game 3 preview with Joe Ryan on the mound tomorrow. That's on Amazon Prime Video, by the way. But first, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Game Time. Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Theo, let's just jump right into it. The game first and foremost. Then we'll get into some roster stuff. I want to pick your brain about some things in segment 2. But let's get into the biggest turning point just to kick things off.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
You mentioned it. Things got out of hand pretty quick. It was a 1-1 game in the second inning, but then it got ugly quick. Biggest turning point, when was it and why?
They didn't capitalize on having the bases loaded in the top of the first to lead this thing off, and I mean, you pretty much hand it to the Yankees from there on out, where you only get one base runner on for the rest of the game after the first inning. So, yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say about that one. It was very poor performance from the lineup today. I mean, we know it's troublesome with the Yankees, but this troublesome is pretty abysmal.
Yeah. A one-hitter, again, one hit on the night. Austin Martin, your trivia answer there. Austin Martin with the one hit. Are the Yankees, especially in New York, still like the Twins' biggest kryptonite? Like no matter the year, no matter the roster kind of thing? Is that still a thing for this team? They have not got that monkey off their back. Is there an equivalent in, it could be MLB, but another sport that just like comes to mind with this?
Well, I mean, the other equivalent I would say right now is the Dodgers against the Rockies for the last decade or so. But, I mean, that's a divisional matchup, which, you know, balances itself out when you see each other a little more frequently on the schedule. But, yeah, this is still it in baseball right now, unfortunately, and we have to sit with this. So, I mean, the best we can hope for right now is they scratch out a game tomorrow so they don't get swept tomorrow night, and hopefully having some home field advantage, and maybe the rosters look a little different for both these teams in September when the Yankees come to town.
Nerdy stat of the day. You got any crazy stat or, you know, crazy analytic Twins related tonight? Give it to me.
Well, this one comes courtesy of Brandon Warren on the broadcast. The last time the Twins had a leadoff hitter have the only hit of the game came in 1970 off of the great Cesar Tovar, and that was it. And at least 1970 fared a little bit better for those Twins, winning the AL West, only to get destroyed in the postseason by the Baltimore Orioles, who went on the World Series that year. But hey, thanks for that one, Brandon. At least Twins fans had a lot more to cheer for back in 1970 than they do with this series.
Shout out our guy Brandon, deep in the archives there in 1970. Plenty more deep dive. What 2026 and beyond could look like if the Twins game plan does come to fruition. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance at a huge return. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. And why I love FanDuel is when you get the hunch in the middle of the game. You go check out the latest stats. You view live play-by-play and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. Go check it all out over at FanDuel.com. Getting some MLB future action right now, if you dare. Tigers minus 1,200 now to win the AL Central. Can't win much money on that value, but it's all setting up over at FanDuel.com. Again, check it all out over at FanDuel.com and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you win your first $5 wager. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the MLB. All right, let's get into what we'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I'm just curious. I don't know how much you got your finger on the pulse when it comes to this Twins, clubhouse vibe. But now that Correa is out, when it comes to like the leaders in the clubhouse, obviously all eyes are going to fall on Byron Buxton now. Mm-hmm. It's been about 2 full weeks since the deadline, right? How do you think, or what are you hearing, I guess, when it comes to Buxton leaning into that leadership and kind of mentor role now for the guys who are left and obviously the guys they're trying to build around? Like, what's the clubhouse vibe, I guess, now that that dust has really settled and, guys are probably looking around saying, okay, this is who we got. Let's make the most of it.
Yeah, they had a team dinner, as Dan Hayes reported, second night in Cleveland that Saturday night to kind of discuss these things. It was organized by Buxton and Christian Vasquez. And, for a lot of these guys they've called out from St. Paul, this is either going to be, their last opportunity to really stick out in the majors for another season after this one, or getting the first opportunity on Sunday with what we saw with Ryan Fitzgerald, a 31-year-old rookie, having the big home run to put them in the lead early and then still coming through in clutch and having some great defensive plays. It was his game until Luke Keeschel hit the walk-off home run. So, it's a lot of good opportunities. These guys are not going to shy away from trying to win these games because, again, they're all playing for opportunities next season, even if they're not playing for a postseason spot this year, and that's what they need to focus on.
Whose stock is up right now? Like, which guys have you been kind of loving lately? Because it hasn't been all bad. Before they got to New York, they won 4 or 5, and some guys were kind of really starting to shine a little bit.
How can you not love Luke Keeschel's return here, even though the last 2 nights in New York have not been the most favorable, and he's come back down to earth a little bit, but how he's been all season has just been remarkable, and it's just really great for him to be a part of this organization and showing what there could be in the future. I think Austin Martin's been looking a little sharper than his first stint in the majors last season. I think he's been a nice addition back to the club just to kind of balance out the depth when you lose someone like Willie Castro. Yeah. And then on the pitching side, it's really hard to say because, Joe Ryan is still Joe Ryan. Bailey Ober looked the best he ever has against Kansas City on Saturday, despite them still losing that game. But, the opportunities aren't quite there for all these starting pitchers that they acquired because they want to take their time developing them, and Mick Abel and Taj Bradley, and kind of just seeing how they work out some of their kinks in the minor leagues before rushing them back up here to the majors. But we're going to see those guys at some point before this season's over for sure.
How spicy of a take is this? If Luke Keeschel had not gotten injured and missed, 2+ months, the Twins would have not gutted the roster at the deadline. How spicy of a take is that?
I think that's very likely, but we really cannot, put much money on if that's definitely going to happen because there was just so much time and it's just
obviously we'll never know, but yeah, he is just such a spark plug is my point. I was watching MLB Network in their analyst, I forget the name, John Morosi or something, I think. Him gushing, oozing about Luke Keeschel, and even flung out the Bobby Witt Jr. comparison, which you got to be careful with, any comps or comparisons, no matter the sport. But how much has he impressed, and just how much is he going to be counted on, I guess, in 2026 and beyond? Like, he is officially a core piece of this young nucleus now, correct?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, he's going to be counted on very strongly. So let's just hope that he can continue to finish this season out strong, despite, a bad couple games in New York. But that's just being a Minnesota Twin. But hopefully, you get the experience under your belt with this series, and next time around, next year, when you're in New York, you're a much better team, and you can finally put some momentum in your favor to break this freaking curse with them.
You mentioned Christian Vasquez setting up that team dinner, a free agency next year after all the moves they made. I think one thing that maybe kind of flew under the radar a little bit is the fact they've only got one starting free agent to kind of figure out, and that is Christian Vasquez. Obviously, we'll see, what happens with the new ownership and all that. Are they going to spend any money, blah, blah, blah. But like from a roster management and like construction standpoint, that's kind of got to be nice if you're the GM, isn't it? That takes a little work off your plate before you even get to the offseason, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of roster decisions with some Rule 5 guys who are going to be eligible for that draft. And then some of the guys you've called up if you're going to outright them completely and send them into free agency. But yeah, like the only guarantee contracts are Lopez and Buxton. So yeah, maybe there's a little help with that, but I wouldn't really be speaking for Jerry Zoll in any capacity when it comes to that sort of stuff right now. We still got, 6-7 weeks left of games. So I think we need to focus more on that now than too much of what's coming in the future.
Up on ESPN, they got the top 50 players in the MLB. Did you see it? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was going to have you take a stab. Buxton 26, right next to Vlad Guerrero and Lindor, I want to say. And then Joe Ryan 35. That one surprised me a little bit, actually. Sandwich in between Nick Kurtz for the A's and Corey Seager. What was your knee-jerk reaction when you heard those two and where they were at, actually, on the rankings themselves?
No, it wasn't surprising. Everything just kind of fits itself for where it's at right now. So I think it's all a good place to look forward to the potential these guys have.
Give me a bold prediction for a guy who we could be sitting here talking about on this list in 2026 at this time next year for the Twins.
I'm going to say Mick Abel, who they got from Philly.
I like that.
In return for Duran.
I feel like he shows the kind of easy answer, so I'm glad you didn't go going, basically.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. Preview Game 3, Joe Ryan on the mound. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 10 million members to date. For me and my money, it's by far the easiest, most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports. You watch your favorite players. So simple, too. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats. You watch the winnings roll in, strikeouts, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, base hits, you name it. They got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. $50 instantly with any $5 wager. All right, Game 3 tomorrow, trying to avoid the sweep. Joe Ryan on the mound. Broadcasting, by the way, on Amazon Prime Video. Now that the, again, the deadline massacre is over, Twins maybe wave the white flag, I guess, essentially. What do you go into these games, I guess, looking for now day to day? Like, is it just the young guys getting quality reps? Like, what is it? Because it's hard for fans now not to look to 2026 already, despite there being a lot of baseball left.
Yeah. No, I think aside from this Yankees series, you got to just look for who's putting as much effort in as possible to really just make sure this team is still winning games. I mean, we saw that with the Detroit and Kansas City series, even though that Sunday game was, that was going to be a bad loss for whoever lost that game. And unfortunately for me, I had to go covered on the Royals side. But hey, learning experience on my end, and we'll know how it is moving forward with those types of losses. But I mean, there's still fight left in this team. They can still play spoiler and like knock out a few games. So the Tigers may not have, the top 2 division records, one of the top 2, and, get a bye round. So, there's still a lot of baseball left to be played. There's still a lot of fun to have. So I think if you see games like you saw this weekend, I would definitely point to Friday night's game against the Royals. That's if you see more games like that from them down the stretch here, which I think we definitely will, then what this team's going to be looking a lot more like and where some of those holes are going to be needed to be plugged.
Twins drop Game 2 versus the Yankees. Just 1 hit in the box score, 9-1. That's your final in New York. 56-63. That's your record on the year. Huge shout out, though, to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us, too, from game to game. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go check out all of Theo's work on X at Theodore Tolliff1, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at Zone Coverage. MN.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We're back here tomorrow. Game 3, 6:05 first pitch. Again, catch that on Amazon Prime Video. We'll catch you right here. Same time, same place. Until then, signing out.